to get connected here and get into the broadcast, but I know on the radio show everything seems super duper smooth. Like, hey, it's going to be awesome. It's going to be automatic. We're going to get you moved into Sophos. Everything's going to be great with the world. That's how it looks on the surface, and that's how it's going to be for when it's experienced by you. Under the hood, there's a lot happening. That you have no idea is even happening. So I wanted to take a moment to tell you about it, to let you know kind of behind the scenes what's going on, to let you know what different product structures we're going to have as regarding security. Not everybody needs ransomware protection. There are some people who simply choose not to want it, not to have it. The problem is the ransomware protection service from Sophos costs almost double the cost of Symantec Endpoint. And I'm not sure that customers are going to spend, $130 a year to renew Endpoint and $320 to install it. If we give them ransomware protection. But our corporate clients absolutely need that service. So we're working on getting different tiers and things going. Good morning, Mary. Thanks for joining me. I appreciate it. To make sure that everything is going to work good for everybody. So first of all, what's happening? If you missed the radio show or missed a piece of it, this is what is happening. Symantec Endpoint, Symantec, the company that made Endpoint, and they also used to make the Norton products, they sold their security business. So they sold the Endpoint side to a company named Broadcom. Broadcom makes all the wireless chipsets and stuff in the computers and the phones and everything, but they also have a burgeoning services division, and they needed an antivirus piece to complete the puzzle. So they bought Symantec software and their research team. Norton LifeLock bought the consumer side of things and the old consumer software that was not the same. Because what had happened is a lot of people who were using the Norton software were getting software that was very similar to the Endpoint software. They were very similar. Well, when Broadcom bought Endpoint, they're like, you can't give this to consumers over here. This is ours now. We can do with it what we want. So what Symantec did is they dug up their old 2015 Norton 360, rebranded it as Norton LifeLock, because that's the last time they had a substantially different security product for consumers, and then gave it to the consumer side. So if you're running Norton LifeLock right now, you're running junk. Like, it's 2015 software. It wouldn't protect you from a ransomware attack if it tried. It just couldn't. The stuff that we're doing with Sophos, though, is really exciting. So what we did, once they sold it, this happened last year, they said, okay, guys, we're going to sell it. It's done. It's going to be fine. Last November, they said by April, Broadcom will have this new dashboard of license management. We'll migrate all of your users from Endpoint into Broadcom's Endpoint, and then everything will be great with the world. You'll be able to manage your customers just like you do now. You'll have the same great security that you have right now. Yeah, I won't go there. If you like your security, you can keep your security. Then, of course, it didn't end up that way. So then coronavirus hit. And I don't know if they were planning on doing a craptacular job for the whole time, or if it was a COVID thing or what. But we have a portal that we can log into. We have a product in that portal, which is the Broadcom Endpoint. We have no way to migrate our customers from the Symantec Endpoint portal into the Broadcom Endpoint portal. We have 4,000 people that need to be migrated. And what our understanding is, on November 2nd, Symantec will stop supporting the software that is running on all 4,000 people's computers right now, including mine, including my home computer and the one that this software is broadcasting on right now. They will just, literally, it'll just disappear from the hard drive. Then what happens? Then we get 4,000 phone calls about people's antivirus disappearing. Number one, that's bad. Number two, customers paid us for an annual subscription, so that's bad. Number three, customers are going to get infected with viruses during the downtime while we get everybody reinstalled with something else, which, again, is bad. This is not good. So we've tried to be patient. We've asked questions. Our people, we buy, the way that the software licensing works is Symantec makes the licenses and then they sell them through Ingram Micro. Symantec doesn't like dealing with customers. They just want to make licenses. Ingram Micro is the company that deals with us, the customer, and then we provide the service to you. So we call Ingram Micro and say, what the heck is the deal with Symantec Endpoint? What are we going to do for our customers? And Ingram Micro says, run away fast. This is a goat rope. Get out of here. You don't want this. Go to AVG, or sorry, go to Avast Pro, or go here, or go there. And we're like, you got to be kidding me. Like, we were with Symantec Endpoint because it's like the best in the industry. The only one that we have known before this that really competes with it is Kaspersky. We're going to send everyone to a Russian-made antivirus product for real? That's where we want to go with this? So we had to have a sit down. We said, okay, we need more options because Avast is out of the question. That's like ancient antivirus detection software as far as the algorithms that it uses and the way it does its detection-based, detecting. We got to find something that's got at least an analog for Symantec's Bloodhound technology. That was what was their AI technology responsible for. If it looks like a virus and it sounds like a virus, it's probably a virus. So we looked through tons of different products, and then something caught my eye with Sophos. They have different tiers of protection, so you can come in on like the entry level tier of Sophos, which is what we're going to be moving everybody to. And then for an extra kick, in this case, it costs double, double per month or double per year to have that ransomware protection enabled on your computer. That enables the AI deep thinking and the ransomware protection, that if you get hit with a ransomware attack, it will stop the attack and then replace the files that were infected. We had a client that got hit with a ransomware attack because one of their employees was still using Internet Explorer as a browser, thought no one would ever notice and no one would ever care, and that all of our security concerns were overblown, and she got a ransomware infection in their network. If they would have had this Sophos protection instead of Endpoint, they wouldn't have had to pay the ransom, they wouldn't have had to reinstall all their dental imaging software, and they wouldn't have had to recreate all of their clients' patient treatment plans. It would have just worked. Wow. That is some phenomenal stuff. Not only that, but Sophos can be tied in to hardware as well. But that, I mean, most consumers aren't going to care about this, but we can put a firewall on the rack at your office to keep, like, do you really need anyone from Iran even touching your computer? Or anyone from outside of the United States, for that matter, even touching your computer? Or anyone outside the state of Nebraska or Iowa even touching your computer? In some cases, yes. In some cases, no. But the point is, we can put hardware on the rack that will restrict access control down to prevent these attacks from happening, and it can be managed using the Sophos antivirus you are already running on your computer. It is brilliant. They tie in together. Endpoint does not have a hardware component to it at all. But that's the thing. Right now, the world is changing, guys, and we've been preaching about it since June, because I just noticed the number of stories, the number of things I was seeing every day. It was like, how can I not talk about ransomware every week? I don't want to talk about nasty, scary things every week, but how can I avoid talking about it every week when it's what the news is, right? So this is our way of dealing with that. So what we're doing is we're creating a migration tool, because it's obviously not practical to get on the phone and call 4,000 people that have Endpoint and say, hey, I need to do a Schrock desk with you. It's just not practical. So the next thing is how can we automatically move this over? How can we automatically have your old computer or your old Endpoint go to Sophos and then remove the old Endpoint? And the answer, I went to Schrock Interactive and I said, here's my list of requirements. We have to determine whether the computer already has Endpoint installed, because obviously we don't just want to create a tool that installs a Sophos license on every computer it touches. That would be silly. So it's got to have Endpoint installed, and it has to be an Endpoint installation that is in our system. In our system. Because it's possible that a person could have Endpoint but have purchased it from another provider. And we don't want to give them a free Sophos license, right? So we got to have those two conditions met. And then once that's done, then we can turn around and say, okay, now we want to install Sophos on. We've confirmed that this is a Schrock Endpoint customer. We're going to install Sophos on the computer, and when that's done, we're going to remove Endpoint from the computer, and then we're going to reboot the computer, and everything's going to be right with the world. So that's the plan. So I said I need a tool that does that. So right now, the Schrock Interactive team is busy. They're going to have this hopefully for us next week. By Wednesday was the deadline. I said I needed by Wednesday, so that gave them a week, which in Schrock time is forever. Because when Thor calls you, it's usually like, I need this by tomorrow, but I gave him a week, you know. So I'm feeling magnanimous right now, you know. I gave you a week. You got this. So anyway, we're going to, we have a tool now, right? So we're going to put a link on the homepage that's like, if you're a Schrock customer, click this link and run this tool. If you have our endpoint, if you don't know, if you're not sure, it won't hurt your computer, because if you don't have endpoint, it just says you don't have endpoint, and it exits. That's it. So if you think you might have our endpoint software, run the tool. If you don't run the tool. If you get an email from me saying go to our website and run the tool, go and run the tool. So there we go. The cool thing, though, is we have another delivery vector that we can use. So the majority of our customers that have endpoint also purchase Secure Updater. Secure Updater is that little itty bitty program that you kind of forget about that runs down there in your taskbar, and whenever there's an update for Java or Flash or Adobe Reader or Dropbox or Skype or any of these other programs that we all have on our computers, it installs that update for security to keep you current so that you don't end up with a bunch of outdated garbage software on your computer. Cool? So what if, this is the Thor idea, I had to double check because we actually had to call legal first because we're like, can we force download a product through Secure Updater? Programmatically, yes, we can. The software, we can say there's a new product called Sophos Migration Tool, and we can say that every Secure Updater user wants that box checked, and then we can check it. And it will download it to every Secure Updater subscriber on the planet, who will all automatically run the software in quiet mode. If they don't have endpoint, it'll just error off, basically say there's no endpoint here, or it's not a match for our records, and then it'll uncheck the box and never run it again. But for our customers that have endpoint, the idea here is if we can migrate 50, 60, 70% of them in a completely silent, seamless way, and of course at the end of the update, it will pop a web page open that tells you what has happened. So when you notice the icons change down there, you're not thinking you got hacked. You'll know what's going on, and then it'll never run again. So that was the catalyst for me saying, if you have Secure Updater, guys, make sure that's installed on the computer and running and open, because if you do that, you're going to have a much smoother time with endpoint. And it matches it. It knows exactly which computer it is. It matches everything perfectly. So that's the long and the short of it, guys. You really want to have Secure Updater right now. This is where that's going to really pay off for you. Otherwise, we're going to have to. It's not hard. You have to go to the website. You have to download a tool. You have to run the tool, and then it does the same thing. Because that's all Secure Updater is really doing anyway, right? So anyway, that. And then, of course, we have to handle phones, and we're going to tackle the phone situation this week. But the app, my understanding is it's going to be able to run on Mac or PC right now. We're testing it on PC first because that's the majority of our users, but then we're going to test it on Mac as well to see if we can't get something that'll automatically move those guys over, because with Mac, you can't hardly Schrock desk into them anymore because they're so secure from Apple. All right, good morning from Grand Island. You should sell an Asus laptop. Why did this just pop up here? I can't see. To Sid Finch. I'm not sure who Sid Finch is, but I can figure that out. Good morning, Mitch. Good to have you. Thanks for joining us. Lee, good to have you aboard. Good morning from Fremont, Buster Brown. Good morning, Richard. Brian. Sound is much better on the After Schrock. I'm going to have to come in earlier and do a sound check thing myself and try different levels and try to figure out what's going on, because maybe it's this new microphone. Maybe the sensitivity on the mic is too hot. We can turn that down. I'm not sure what it is. I am super congested, so that could be part of it. I'm probably projecting harder than I normally do. That could be part of it too. Having my coffee and enjoying the show. Coffeeville at Schrockville. Got it. I like it. Good morning, Don. Good to have you. When I first installed Drive Advisor, this thing is popping up things all the time over here. My IO Safe external drive was only at 50%. Is that something that I could get an estimate for data retrieval? Will I get Cheetos if I bring it in? Only if I voice text you back. And it was weird because if I hit send really quick, it would send that text. But if I didn't hit send really quick, it would like figure out it had the wrong text and then replace it with mine, which means my voice texts were going somewhere else as well, which just made me want to voice text really funny things. Like, it's done. He's dead. And just like not send it and then delete it. We have a complication. Just fun things like that to let people like, oh my God, and then it just disappears off their phone. Creepy. Oh, golly. So when Drive Advisor says your drive is at 50%, that doesn't necessarily mean the drive is bad. If a drive works, you can still try to pull your information off of it. So try that first. If it doesn't work, absolutely, we can do that in the service center all the time. If the drive is not clicking or making a weird noise, chances are we can recover the data off of it for the lab minimum, which is $400. To give you guys an idea, I know $400 sounds like a lot of money to recover data from a hard drive. If you sent that same hard drive off to Drive Savers in California, it would start at $1,300 and go up from there. So we are saving customers significant amounts of money by doing the work in shop and having the equipment in-house. So yeah, absolutely, Mark. We'd love to have a chance to take a look at that for you. And we got the time to do it right now, too. Heard a commercial on the radio real estate show talking about a product called Title Lock. It's intended to protect, Bill O'Reilly's pushing that thing. I have heard of it. I guess it's a real thing. I mean, the FBI did talk about it. I don't have it. I don't feel like a compelling need to purchase it. But on the other hand, I suppose that's scary. Now, I have a mortgage on my house, so I would assume if you have a mortgage on your house, they can't screw with your title because your title is held by the mortgage company. So they can't go take a loan. But if your house is paid off, if you're a retiree, your house is paid off, I could see maybe having some concerns there. But yeah, I don't have it myself, honestly. Good morning, Carolyn from Round Rock. Good to see you. Yeah. Well, mainstream media is talking about ransomware, but they're just not using the word ransomware. So the UNMC attack, it still has not been confirmed that it was ransomware. It's obviously ransomware. It doesn't take this long to recover from a Trojan attack. And what other kind of attack do you attack a hospital with? I mean, it's ransomware. And then I was like, okay, the marketing company says, Thor, we need some talking points for the radio commercials for Des Moines. And I'm like, okay, we're going to be talking a lot about ransomware this month. Excuse me, guys. My nose is like a mess. So let's have some talking points for the live endorsements about ransomware. And I'm like, well, we want a local tie-in for Des Moines. So let me Google and see if there's any ransomware attacks happening to companies in Des Moines. Pages and pages and pages of results, all from the last 2 months. Guys, it's not just happening in one place. This is everywhere, and it's way out of control. So one of the challenges we have with the Sophos software is the basic software does exactly the same thing that your Symantec Endpoint software does now. The ransomware add-on has an increased cost side to Schrock. So that's not something that you're going to get for the basic. So there's going to basically be 2 tiers of antivirus. So we're just thinking we can have a home and a pro, to keep it easy. So if you subscribe to the pro, it has the ransomware protection. If you subscribe to the home, it doesn't. And the pro version will have a higher renewal price than the home version will. And then the pro version is what all of our corporate clients are going to receive. They're going to receive the pro version that has the ransomware protection, so they don't have to worry about this garbage, or at least they don't have to worry about making one simple mistake and destroying their whole business. They're targeting attorneys. They're targeting accountants. They're targeting doctors and dentists and hospitals and anything where there's patient data or valuable information that they can steal, because they're not they're not just encrypting it. They're taking a copy of it. So when you have a piece of software like Sophos that detects that the ransomware attack is happening and they stop it, it literally will protect your client's information. It stops it from being transmitted. That's why this is so powerful. That's why we're so excited about it. It's just amazing software. If the shield is black, Carolyn, that means that you're not logged in right now, or your subscription is expired. So my guess, Carolyn, is that you're just not logged in. Go ahead and restart your computer, and it should try to automatically log you in. If we set your password up for you, it'll be your email address for the username, and your password will be your cell phone number with no dashes, just the 9 digits. no dash, or 10 digits, no dashes. If you changed your password, which we always recommend you do, it will be whatever you changed it to. So it just means you're not logged in if it's black, or it can mean your subscription is expired, and that is why you're not logged in. Either way, we can get it taken care of for you. We had about 60 people this month who had expired subscriptions and had not renewed. We're actually taking the time to individually call them and let them know you really need to upgrade your subscription here, because this is getting to be important. Oh yeah. Yeah, Richard, I've had a couple people tell me about the neti pot. Yeah, and I've taken, excuse me again, guys, golly. I have taken the drugs, all the different drugs, the allergy stuff, everything else. All the kids are sneezing. All the kids have it too. And we think that Catherine, my daughter, who goes to public school and wears a mask every day, she wears a mask continuously. And we believe that she was patient zero, that she is the one who brought it into the house. But it just, I won't go there. Anyway, yeah, so lots of people are telling me neti pot, and I just, yeah, I hear about this this powered neti pot where it like shoots it up and touches your brain or something. I don't know. Maybe I'll have to try this. I noticed there's something called Windows Insider that you can join to get security on the update and security part of the settings. Is there an advantage to becoming a member? Okay, Brian, there's not really an advantage unless you're a researcher, because basically what they're going to do is they're going to take the software that's super broken and give it to you to test. And it's going to blow up your computer, and then they're going to monitor what happens to your computer so that they can fix that, and you're just going to keep installing it and breaking your computer until they have it right. That's what the Windows Insider program is for. So yeah, if you're just a consumer, I wouldn't recommend becoming part of it. Jim says his internet's dropping almost every day, and he has to reset the router. Modem and router are less than a year old. How do I troubleshoot the problem, where it's coming from? Okay, so if you're resetting the modem and the router, gosh, I'm sorry, guys, and it is solving the problem for you, then it's obviously equipment, I would assume. So next we're going to stop doing a full power cycle, and we're just going to cycle the router. So unplug the router, plug the router back in, but leave the modem plugged in. If the internet comes back up, we know you have an issue with the router. If the router is less than a year old, it's under warranty, we can get it replaced. If the internet does not come back up, then you've got an issue with the modem. And modems do go bad. And so if the modem is also less than a year old, it is also under warranty. And of course, at this point you want to call out your service provider, because it could be something like a line signal issue. A lot of times when things get wet in the fall that have been dry for a long time, it causes issues outside. So it could be we had a problem on the outside of our house. It's crazy. The things that can suddenly, that haven't been a problem for years, and then all of a sudden they're a problem. But test each device independently next to see which one is causing the problem, because if you call out your provider and it's your wireless router, then they charge you money and you feel silly. You should have just figured that out before they came out. Wireless routers are really easy to replace as well. Good to have you, Cheryl. Appreciate it. All right, anybody have any questions or anything before I get rolling here? Because literally my face is about to explode. So unfortunately, I'm going to have to cut this one a little bit short today. But I wanted to let everybody know what was happening with Sophos, because it was a big deal. We don't have pricing yet on what the pro tier is going to be, what the cost is for consumers who want to go there. We know what business cost is going to be for all of our corporate clients. We're not going to raise the price at all for them, because corporate clients are paying the full $160 every year for Endpoint from us. So that more than covers the cost increase on our side. We're just going to bite the bullet on that one and take the loss. But on the consumer side, we don't make a ton of money selling Endpoint. So basically what we need to do is we need to have some kind of a cost increase for the extra ransomware protection. The problem is it's double. So we can't really charge people double their renewal price. So we're going to have to figure out something here. We're going to have to increase it, but it's going to be a more modest increase. It's not going to be another additional $65 or whatever to renew the software. It's going to probably be $30, $40, $50 extra a year to have the ransomware protection. But I will guarantee you, on my computers in my house and in our shops, every single computer, even the display models, will be running ransomware protection. It's just not worth it, guys. We've been through these attacks. It's not worth it. We got hit with one back in the day. It's just not worth it. We got hit with one while we were running Norton 360, when Norton 360 was Norton 360, when it was current, we got a ransomware attack went right through it. That's why I tell people the Norton LifeLock. I know it's tough because I get 5 or 10 licenses, Thor. I can put it on the whole family's computer. I get all these extra. I get a VPN. I get all this stuff. I get the LifeLock protection, which really doesn't do anything for you if you read the fine print. I'm sorry, it's crap. It doesn't work. It doesn't do what it says it does. Not as well as it says it does it. So if you want to go with that, I can't stop you, but I can at least tell you that there's a better option that we're pioneering to make sure we can bring to you guys. Because Sophos you cannot buy on your own. Like we looked, we're like, okay, so what does Sophos sell for in other places? And the answer is for as much as people will pay for it. Because as a consumer, you can't buy Sophos; it's not available. So we will literally be the only provider of Sophos anywhere to consumers. But we're going to keep the price for the install is actually going to get lower. The price for the install is going to come down a little bit. We used to charge $100 for the install and $60 for the subscription initial year. That install price, that $100, is going to come down a little bit. So we're actually going to lower the price a little bit. We're going to give you better software. We're going to have a secondary tier for the ransomware protection that I would highly recommend. But all in all, I mean, it's going to be a phenomenal product. And we're going to be moving everybody over to it. We've been running it in the service centers now for about a month, and it's great. We have no issues. It does everything Endpoint does, except it does it more efficiently. It's actually better written software as well. So stay tuned for this, guys. Like I said, if you have your secure updater, it's going to be like butter. We'll probably put up a Facebook post or maybe send out an email letting everybody know, hey, this is about to happen. It's just polite to give people a heads up. Technically, we're within our rights to force download a program to your computer based on the terms of use. It still doesn't feel quite right. It feels like I shouldn't have the ability to do that, but we do. So, because we have to have that ability to do the product's job. And in this case, we can use it for good. So we're going to make sure that we let everybody know what's happening before we do it, so there's no appearance of impropriety of any kind or any sort. All right, guys, I got to get wrapped up here. We need to convince Rush to get off LifeLock and go advertise yours. You know, funny story. Back in the day, I was like, you know what? If we only had Rush Limbaugh hawking our, I was such a neophyte then. I didn't know how the world worked. But I was like, if Rush Limbaugh would talk about our product, we'd have so much business, it'd be great. Do you know what it costs to have Rush Limbaugh do one commercial for you? Yeah, it's crazy. So you pay Rush Limbaugh about $20,000 to $40,000 per spot, and then you pay the radio station, his carrier group, another like $40,000 or $50,000 a spot to carry it. So it's like $70,000 a commercial. So I'm going to do the quick math here and say $70,000. Maybe it's a little lower because of economy or whatever, but let's say $70,000, and let's say a new install is $160. That means every time Rush talks about it, we would have to sell 438 copies to break even. You know, if that would work, we'd do it. Maybe it does work. Maybe that's why people do it. But yeah, we didn't have the $70,000 to speculate on it. All right, guys. Good morning, Dennis. Good to see you. Have a great afternoon, and we will talk to you soon here next week. Have a great day.